they just made me feel so welcome and so connected, not even in business, but just personally. Like, they really valued my friendship. They felt like I was, you know that saying, you find people that can believe in you until you believe in yourself. Mm-hmm. And that's who they were for me.
You mentioned growing up, you were disconnected to your family, disconnected to the majority of kids at school and things like that. But in the real estate community, you are connected. Like, a lot of people know you, you're highly connected, have a great network around you. How did that start? Because there's a lot of people out there probably just flipping houses and kind of like on an island, right? Mm-hmm. Or buying rentals or whatever, and they don't necessarily have this big network around them. How did that start for you? How did you find yourself in that position?
In 2022, I went to Dealmaker, Jim Ingersoll's group that he puts on annually, and praying nobody would notice me, speak to me, realize I was there. I just sat and just wanted to learn. And during that, Augie Bailat came up to do a presentation on Share the Love. Mm-hmm. And I watched that and I thought, wow, like, that's amazing that you can actually go on these trips and give back and be a part of it versus just writing a check.
Right.
So I went on my first trip in November of 2023, not knowing who else was going. I just thought, I'm going on this trip for me, and I was going by myself, and I didn't know what to expect. And on that trip was Jim Ingersoll and his wife Cheryl that put Dealmaker on. It was your father, Chuck Glover, it was Tim Davis, and it was Randy Horner. And that was it. And of course, Augie. And all of them are in real estate, most of them very seasoned. And when I saw who was there, I was a little intimidated, like, ooh, this may not be for me. And, in those 5 days, hearing other people's stories, hearing how they struggled, how they got started, they just made me feel so welcome and so connected, not even in business, but just personally. Like, they really valued my friendship. They felt like I was, that saying, you find people that can believe in you until you believe in yourself. Mm-hmm. And that's who they were for me. They made me feel like what I was doing was legitimate. Like, I was, for years, and still I struggle with seeing myself as an investor. I'm not a real estate investor. This is just what I'm doing. But they really helped me to see my worth outside of real estate, just as a person, as a human. And so that was very transformative for me.
It's interesting. I don't know everyone in that group, but I know almost everyone in that group. There's one or two people that I don't know very closely, but or maybe one person that I don't know very closely. But those people have their own struggles, and they have their own stories that get pretty wild that I'm sure you've heard. That, like, it's interesting where I think it's easy to look at a Jim Ingersoll and just be like, all right, well, that guy just crushes, or like a Chuck Glover or something, like, he's probably been doing this for decades, right?
Yeah.
Like,
my impression of him before I got to know him was, he's an older man. He's probably been in real estate his whole life, probably has a massive portfolio, and he is now just graduated into lending like most seasoned investors end up.
Right.
And then when I heard his story, couldn't have been more wrong. Yeah. I resonated so much with what he was saying. It still brings me to tears when I think about it, but it shows you that we all have this, and social media doesn't help. Social media is the highlight reel.
Right.
It makes you think that everybody is living this great life, and they're doing all these deals, or they're just excelling in life, personal, professional, everything. And you're like, I'm struggling, like, I'm not like them. But everybody is.
Yeah. That's what you find out.